Welcome, readers, listeners, and viewers from across America and around the world. It's the 1st of January, and this is 2011, a brand new year, and I pray that this is a year of peace and a year of where we can, secure our Constitution and return the world back to some semblance of harmony. And I want good tidings for all people everywhere, and so, I hope this will be a better year for us. But we know things are going to be accelerating quicker, and we're going to be moving faster down that rabbit hole that is the New World Order. But I want to thank everybody for coming and for sharing this show with us and being with us to share this time and this space and to allow us to, bring forth the teachings that we're going to bring forth, because we've got a lot to cover today. There's a lot of information, a lot of what we're going to be bringing forth most people have never heard about, and there's a lot that can help clarify for you listeners out there as to what happened in the First World Age, what the three world ages are, what the three creations of Adam are, and all these things we're going to get into. But Alan is my co-host today. Alan, do you want to give a shout-out?
Yeah, what's going on Fallen Angels TV, and I am looking forward to this muchly, because we're going to be taking it way, way back and bringing some truth that's sort of a necessity that's going to supersede and unveil the type of Sunday school teaching that is usually brought forth from Genesis.
Yeah, especially for myself, having read all of these different books and extra biblical books, and having read all the Sumerian teachings and the teachings of Zechariah Sitchin and all these different books, the Colburn Bible, what I've got lined up here for you today is an unveiling of the different creations, including the creations that the Anunnaki were involved in. And this is going to help clarify for people what happened in the garden, and also what the Anunnaki and their interdiction into the affairs of humanity. And I'm not talking about the Genesis 6. This is going back to, why it was that Lucifer was banished out of the heavens. And we're going to take this back to John chapter 1 and begin there, because I want to lay this as a foundation that it all, I want to bring it all from the Bible and bring John chapter 1. It says this: in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by Him, and without Him was not anything made. In Him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. So we know that the Word is Yahushuah, that He's the verbal expression that brought all things into being, and that He and the Father are one. So John is referencing here that Yahushuah and His Father are one, and that Yahushuah was the one that had brought the creation into being. Now, there's another cryptic quote, and most people have never heard about this, because this is from the Nag Hammadi Codices. But when I found this one particular quote, this became the skeleton key for unlocking so many other veiled passages. And this really, this quote actually is what helped me to line up and set up and research and unveil my fourth book, Lucifer, Father of Cain. And this is what this says from On the Origin of the World. Now the first Adam, Adam of light, is spirit endowed and appeared on the first day. The second Adam is soul endowed and appeared on the sixth day, which is called Aphrodite. The third Adam is a creature of the earth that is the man of the law, and he appeared on the 8th day, the tranquility of poverty, which is called the day of the sun, or Sunday. And the progeny of the earthly Adam became numerous and was completed and produced within itself every kind of scientific information of the soul-endowed Adam, but all were in ignorance. Okay, so these three Adams, the first Adam, Adam of light, that reference to Yahushuah, and it says that he appeared on the first day. The second Adam is a soul-endowed Adam, and he appeared on the 6th day. The third Adam was a creature of the earth, and he appeared on the 8th day. And so, going back to unveiling who the first Adam was, again, we go to John chapter 1, where it talks about, in the beginning was the Word. That was the unveiling of Yahushuah as the light of the world. Now, what I'm about to tell you, a lot of people have not heard about, and if you've followed my work, I'm sure I've referenced this before to people, and so some of you will understand, but I have to bring forth this quote from the Book of the Bee in order for me to be able to lay the foundation for what we're about to go into. Now, in chapter 6, the Book of the Bee, it says this: when the holy angels were created on the evening of the first day, without voice they understood not their creation, but thought within themselves that they were self-existent beings and not made. On the morning of the first day, God said in an audible and commanding voice, "Let there be light." And immediately the fused light was created. When the angels saw the creation of light, they knew of a certainty that he who had made light had created them. And they shouted with a loud voice and praised him and marveled at his creation of light, as the blessed teacher saith, when the Creator made that light, angels marveled thereat. And as it is said in Job, when I created the morning star, all of the angels praised me. All right, so this particular quote says that the angels were created and that they were sitting in darkness and that they were pondering amongst themselves whether they were indeed self-existent beings. And it was on that same morning, the first day, that they heard in a loud, audible voice, "Let there be light." Now, what people don't understand is that when the Lord said, Yahweh said, as the Father of creation said, "Let there be light," that it was in that moment that Yahushuah was unveiled to not only the other angels, but to all of creation. Before Yahushuah was unveiled, everything sat in darkness. Nothing was visible. Everything was still yet invisible, and the visible had not been separated. Light and darkness had not been separated. The visible worlds had not been unfolded from the invisible. And so when Yahushuah was called in as the light, and he unveiled everything in visibility, because as the light, without him, nothing can be seen. And so it was in that moment that the angels knew that the voice that had called forth the light was the Father, the Creator, and that the light that had been called forth was the Son of the Father, and that he had been given dominion in that moment over all of creation. And from Revelation chapter 22, verse 23, it says, "And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. In that particular passage in Revelation, it talks about how there will be no longer darkness, and how the Lamb and Yahweh the Father, how they are the light of, New Jerusalem, of eternity. And so in that initial first moments when Yahushuah was unveiled, this is also the moment when Lucifer became jealous and decided that he wanted to ascend to the sides of the north to elevate his throne over the dominion of the sun, because he was one of those angels that were created that thought that he was a self-existent being, and as one of the highest cherubs, as the first created angel, he wanted dominion over creation. And so all the angels were brought before Yahushuah and made to bow. Lucifer and 1/3 of the angels that followed him, they refused to bow to him, and they refused to serve him. And for that, they were banished and kicked out of the heavens. So I'm going to read this particular quote. This is from the book of the secrets of Enoch, and it says this: "And from the rock I cut off a great fire, and from the fire I created the orders of the incorporeal 10 troops of angels, and their weapons are fiery and a burning flame. And I commanded that each one should stand in his order. And one of the order of angels, having turned away with the order that was under him, conceived an impossible thought, to place his throne higher than the clouds above the earth, that he might become equal in rank to my power. And I threw him out from the height with his angels, and he was flying in the air continuously above the bottomless. On the 3rd day I commanded the earth to make grow great and fruitful trees and hills and seed to sow, and I planted paradise and enclosed it and placed as armed guardian flaming angels, and thus I created renewal." And so here on the 3rd day, the Lord created paradise, and this is the paradise where he's going to place Adam. That was the second Adam. But notice that on the 2nd day, that Lucifer, Satan, and his angels, 1/3 of his angels, they were cast out of the heavens. Now remember, in Luke chapter 10, verse 18, it says, "And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven." Now, another thing that many people don't understand is that Yahushuah, as the Word, he was the one that created all things initially in the very beginning, when the visible realms were unfolded from the invisible realms. You can read the book of the secrets of Enoch. It gives a wonderful description of how he did all those different things. But just realize that when you're reading about the creation being and the Creator, that it was Yahushuah as the Word, that he was doing all things, and that Yahweh was still an invisible presence, but he did, he grew the Word. And you'll find that very often. Like if you read the Targums repeatedly, it says that it was the Word of the Lord, or the Word of God, that, unveiled or created. And so you have to realize that it was Yahushuah in all the early stages that was unfolding, and that the angels were also helping him do a lot of these things. So this is a particularly interesting quote. Most people have never heard of this either, but this is from the Gospel of the Secret Supper, and it says this: "And I said, Lord, before Satan fell, what was his glory besides your father's? And he told me, such was his glory that he governed the virtues of heaven. And as for me, I sat next to my Father. Satan was the master of all those who imitated the Father, and his power descended from the sky to the inferno and rose again from the inferno to the throne of the invisible Father. And he observed the glory of him who transformed the skies, and he dreamed of placing his seat on the clouds of the heavens, because he wanted to be like the Very High. And when he descended farther down, he found himself in the presence of clouds weighing on the tidal waves of the sea. He went on until he got his Asap, which is the principle of fire. After that, he could not descend farther because of the intense flame of the fire. And then Satan came in from behind and filled his own heart with malice, and reaching the angel of the air and the one who was above the waters, he said to them, "Everything belongs to me. If you listen to me, I will plead on the clouds, and I shall be similar to the Very High. I will withdraw the waters of the ocean and assemble the areas occupied by the sea into one entity of vast seas. And that done, there will be no water on the face of the entire earth, and I shall reign with you through the centuries of the centuries." Okay. So, we have Lucifer being banished out of the heavens on the second day. Now, we know from the second to the sixth day, before the second creation of Adam was brought into being, that they had free roam. And according to the Sumerian teaching, it said that the Anunnaki came up upon their own planet, Nibiru, and that after so many, it was a long period of time, but after a long period of time, that they started to undergo ecological devastation on their own planet, Nibiru. And it was then that one of their own kings, a king named Alalu, he left Nibiru and came and journeyed through to the inner part of the solar system, because the hammered bracelet, or the asteroid belt, that had created a division that the Anunnaki were afraid to go into the inner part of the solar system. They had explored the outer part, but it was forbidden for them to go through the asteroid belt. But they needed gold, and it was rumored that when the destruction of Tiamat happened, that there was a lot of gold that was found in the hammered bracelet, and that they knew that the original planet that was impacted, the Earth, was full of gold. And so what they had devised on their own planet in Hebrew to do to protect their atmosphere from the devastating rays of the sun when they came by the sun was that they would crush gold particles and suspend it into their atmosphere as a way to reflect the harmful rays of the sun.